Right. Welcome everybody to this Provo Municipal Council. Called it to order today, January 4th at 6:08 p.m. Meetings of the Municipal Council are now being held in hybrid fashion. That is, members of the public can view and can continue to view council meetings on YouTube and Facebook, or they may attend in person in the council chamber at the Provo City Center. The coronavirus pandemic is not yet over. COVID-19 infection transmission rates are again high, particularly among unvaccinated persons. We encourage everyone who's eligible to get vaccinated. We encourage all people to protect themselves and others by following protocols set by the CDC and our state and local health departments. Stay safe and be kind. This meeting is being broadcast live on the web on the Provo City Council YouTube channel, where it will also be available for on-demand viewing. I remind participants to mute their microphones when not speaking to minimize the potential for background noises and conversations to be picked up, recorded, and broadcast for all to hear. All right, we'd like to welcome our new members today, Catrice McKay and Rachel Whipple, as well as congratulate and welcome back George Hanley. We might be joined by Mayor Kafusi later, but we'll see when that happens. We have all the council members here today, and so do we need to state names? Are we okay? As well as Wayne Parker, of course, our Chief Administrative Officer of the city. We appreciate him being here. Brian Jones, the attorney, and Cliff Strachan, as well as other council staff. We appreciate your support and help. All right. If we could, we'll have an opening prayer given by Councilor Hoban.
Our Father in heaven, we are grateful to gather together to help lead the city of Provo forward and make good decisions and contemplate what is best for this great city. We're grateful for this opportunity to serve, and we ask to be guided in this service. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thanks, Councilor Hoban. And Councilor McKay, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Strachan.
As indicated on the screen, a required public hearing will be held for certain agenda items prior to council action. After each item has been presented, time to comment will be provided for all those who wish to speak. For items that do not require a public hearing, public comment will still be taken following presentation of the item, but will be limited to 10 minutes. At this time, up to 15 minutes have been set aside for an open public comment period, which is intended to allow comment on matters that do not appear on the agenda. Persons who speak during this time to an item that is on the agenda will not normally be afforded a second opportunity to speak during the comment period specific to that item. During any public comment period, each speaker will be generally limited to 2 minutes. Due to noticing requirements, no formal action will be taken in this meeting on matters that do not appear on the agenda. Those with comments are invited to approach the podium. Those participating on Zoom will need to use the raise hand feature to indicate they wish to comment. The chair may choose to alternate between in-person and online commenters. Please begin your comments by stating your name and city of residence. You will have 2 minutes to speak, and the public comment period starts now.
Any public comments here in the room? Any online? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public comment period and move on to the first implied motion for today. First item of business is the election of the municipal council officers, chair and vice chair. So this is the time of the year where we nominate new leadership for the next year. And I'll go ahead and start this process by nominating Travis Hoban as chair for next year. Any second? Seconded by Mr. Fillmore. Any comments before we vote? Do we need any comments before we vote?
You don't, and actually, city ordinance actually prohibits any comments
Thank
before
you.
you don't vote.
Great.
However, the procedure is that you should ask if there are any other nominations before starting the voting.
I have a comment.
Are there other nominations before we start the vote?
We do chair first and then the vice chair after.
Other nominations for chair, right? We're do each one of them.
Correct.
Okay, let's go ahead and call for a vote, and then Bill, when we finalize the vote, you can make your comment. All right, everybody in favor? Okay, that holds unanimous, so I don't need to call for any opposition, right? Okay, so that passes 7-0. Bill, your comment?
2 words. Good luck.
All right, that's
I was expecting worse.
all right. All right. Okay, call for nominations for vice chair. Mr. Fillmore.
Mr. Chairman, it's my honor to nominate my good friend and colleague, George Hanley, as vice chair.
Second,
I'll second that.
Mr. Hoban, second. Okay, let's call for a vote. Oh, excuse me. Any other nominations for vice chair before we vote? Okay, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, I see that it passes unanimously. So, congratulations and congratulations. And this is the part where I'm supposed to ask if you'd like to take over.
Actually, before you do that,
Sorry.
we have this confusing process that confuses people every year.
Pass the resolution.
Now there's a resolution that should be passed, which will insert the names and make it formal. So that resolution has already been prepared. They'll just insert the names.
Okay.
And there's already an implied motion on the table for a resolution making that official.
But we don't have to call on this implied motion for any public input or any council comments, anything like that?
You can just call for vote on the resolution.
Excellent. Okay, so now you have the implied motion in front of you, the resolution to have the chair and vice chair as so elected. All in favor? Okay, passes unanimously, so that resolution passes and we're good to go. All right, now, Travis, do you want to take over?
You got it.
All right, a little bit longer. Third thing on today's agenda is a resolution supporting the environmental protections for Utah Lake. This will be presented by Councilor Hanley and be available for public input after. So if you're online, this will be an opportunity to raise your hand for for your input. Mr. Hanley.
Thank you, former vice chair. Yeah, so the council received a draft of this resolution. I think it was on Thursday prior to the weekend. So hopefully you've all had a chance to look at it. You're aware that there is the reason for the timing of this is that the state legislative session will shortly be beginning, and Councilor Ellsworth and I had been in conversations with concerned citizens, with state legislators about our concerns that there was a possible development proposal that could be moved forward in the next legislative session. And we had become concerned that this proposal had been based on some misleading understanding of the ecological characteristics of the lake, not to mention some of the financial and engineering risks that attend the proposal. And, you know, we don't normally find ourselves wanting to jump into every single potential issue that might be before the state legislature, but this is an issue of such significance to the entire valley and county and the various cities that depend on the lake, the businesses that depend on the lake, the water rights that depend on the lake. The watershed affects Salt Lake County as much as it does Utah County. So we felt that it was significant enough that we started having conversations with the rest of the council and with citizens and with, again, with state legislators about the possibility of asking them to take some steps that would protect the lake from degradation that we feel would be catastrophic, frankly, if it were to go all the way to the level that it has been proposed. We had discussed at our last meeting the possibility of requesting a repeal of House Bill 272, but in conversation with state legislators and amongst ourselves, we felt that that was maybe unnecessary, especially given the fact that there seems to be quite a bit of willingness on the part of state legislators that we've been speaking with to amend that bill in the spirit of what this resolution asks for, which is a stronger consideration of the health of the lake and its importance to our community. And so the resolution, as you've seen, has 3 bullet points toward the end, which can't be seen on the screen right now. There are 4, excuse me, that we thought were principle oriented rather than vote oriented. That it, we weren't dictating what votes should happen, but rather sort of calling for concern for these principles. And we are aware of some developments in other cities. American Fork has been taking some action on this and some inspiration from what we're doing. I believe they passed today a decision to consider a similar resolution next week on their council, for example. So I feel, I think Councilor Ellsworth and I agree that we feel that we need to be leaders. We need to show that we're concerned about this, and that the good news is that in virtually all of our conversations with state legislators, there has been unanimous agreement that there is a need for amendments, and that the kinds of concerns we're raising are resonating, and we're getting good responses. I'd like to ask my colleague, Councilor Ellsworth, if she'd like to add any further comments, but I just am hoping that we could pass this resolution tonight and get it on to the state legislature in time for the session.
Yeah, thank you. I edited parts of this resolution after I think George made the first draft, and I like that it outlines a lot of the scientific objective scientific points about Utah Lake that sometimes are not totally clarified or transparent, and sometimes are used maybe to misrepresent certain positions. And so I appreciate the scientific statements that are here. The things that I added to this, and that probably, well, if we had time, I would want to make more robust, is not just the impacts ecologically, which are absolutely critical, but the impacts to businesses and communities over water rights, just the impacts to water rights, as well as the public engagement process. And so there is a concern that the future of Utah Lake could be altered without a proper or robust or transparent public engagement process, which it kind of defies the point of government. So we have written in a couple of things about that, but if we had time, it would be great to make that a little bit more expansive.
Are there questions from the council for either one of the council members that have brought this forward? Okay, we'll go ahead and open this item for public comment. If you'd like to make a comment on this item, we'll have a timer for 2 minutes, and hopefully we can go through as many comments as we have here. State your name and city of residence for the benefit of the notes.
I'm Craig Christensen. I'm with an organization called Conserve Utah Valley. And let me just say thank you. This is your responsibility. The lake is all of our responsibility. So I appreciate that with your busy schedule that you would make this a priority. This lake is the centerpiece of this county. And what I as a citizen want, we may differ in terms of how we look at things, but what I expect is transparency about what happens with the lake. I expect science-based approach to what has happened, what is happening, what will happen in the future. I'm delighted that the council would take this up as a serious matter. In fact, the American Fork City Council is Councilman Handley just pointed out, did vote unanimously to adopt a resolution. They felt a little bad that Provo was first to do that, but they were happy to be second, and that their intention is to get every city to stand up and be leaders. And so I have to tell you, I'm so grateful for the leadership that this council is willing to take on this critical issue. Representative Kevin Stratton is proposing amendments. He's open to bill file and proposing amendments to fix the things that we're talking about here. And that's what we're asking about. We could have differences of opinion whether an artificial island in the middle of the lake is a good idea or not, but these things are beyond opinions. This is the process that we should be going through. And that's what we're asking for. So next Tuesday night, Representative Stratton is also hosting a Utah Lake Summit at UVU at 6:30. We invite you and all of your staff and anyone who cares about the lake to attend, as there will be experts to basically unpack a lot of the things here. Here's what has not happened with this lake proposal: robust, transparent dialogue. And it's hard for me to understand why everyone wouldn't want that about something that's such a centerpiece. So I'd like to say thank you for your leadership, and I appreciate the opportunity to address you.
Thank you.
We'll spare you from all of us speaking. Angela Marek, I'm in Provo, also of Conserve Utah Valley. And I'm going to take just a little, so I don't reiterate what Craig just said. Thank you for doing this, because as citizens, myself, just a year ago, I believed a lot of the myths around Utah Lake. And until I heard Ben Abbott speak and scientists present the information, I've completely changed my mind, because I didn't know what was at stake. And so I appreciate this council taking a leadership role, because what you're doing is you're sending a signal to the citizens that you represent. When they see our signs that are going up all over, it says, "Don't pave Utah Lake," we can't even possibly begin to say what is involved in one just slogan. And so when the council like Provo and American Fork take a stand, other people are going to start asking questions about what is involved and get educated. And so this is sending such an important signal to all of our community. And thank you so much for doing that.
How's it going, guys? I'm Adam Johnson. I'm a resident of Provo. I just wanted to say thank you. It was probably about a year ago for the first time that I went to Utah Lake State Park, and I'm sure all of you have been there before. Went on a Sunday evening, and I was so surprised. There was hundreds of people out there on those docks, and then just like gathering in the grass areas. And it kind of just showed me how important the Utah Lake was to residents of Provo. And since then, being involved in the project and trying to make this more transparent process, I've just seen so many people like unanimously reject the idea of an island in the lake. And so I just wanted to thank you guys and give you guys kudos for being in tune for what people are thinking here in Provo. Thank you for considering this resolution and drafting it.
Cliff, would you give instructions for people online if they would like to say something? Just in case that's why they're here.
Yeah. If you're wanting to speak from online, there's only one person online at the moment. It is star 9, and then once we respond to it, star 6.
Thank you. Other people in the room that would like to speak to this?
Hello, my name is Anna Monson. I am a Provo resident, but I've been an Orem resident for almost my entire life. And I wanted to reiterate what was said about learning about Utah Lake and overcoming certain myths about it. I've lived in the Orem Provo area for 19 years, and I had only been to Utah Lake twice to this point. And that is due to a lot of myths. But thankfully this year, due to classes and due to this initiative, I've learned about Utah Lake, and I've come to love the city that I live in and love the place that I live in more. And so I think that the transparency and the dedication from the council will spread to citizens and will spread to them loving this place more and being more engaged. And we'll have a happier city that cares more about the beautiful place that we live in. And I wanted to say thank you for getting that started.
Thank you. Other comments?
My name's Bruce McKay. I've been a Provo resident since 1973. And I wanted to thank you also for bringing this resolution to bear. The impact, the potential impact on not only the lake, but on the entire county is a pretty big deal. I think everybody could agree with that. And so I very much appreciate that this is being brought to bear, and that we're, as a council, that you are leading out in this. My desire is to make sure that the right things are done, and that usually happens in the light, where there's open and transparent communication. So thank you very much for bringing this resolution, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment for this item and bring it back to the council for comments. Council, any comments? Ms. Ellsworth?
Is it appropriate for me to add a couple of additions?
You could make amendments. You can make a motion to amend.
Okay, I'm going to make some suggestions. If the staff could type them in, and then I'll make a motion that we amend that.
Okay.
So the first whereas would be, whereas Utah Lake is the centerpiece of the valley.
So just a new whereas.
The first whereas would be, whereas Utah Lake is the centerpiece of the valley.
Inserting a new one or one?
A new one. Thank you. Brand new one.
I don't think Utah Lake has a pronoun.
Okay. And then below that one, a new one that says, whereas the economic vitality of the valley depends on prudent water management and access to water rights. Economic vitality of the valley depends on prudent water management and access to water rights. Great. Okay, and then the last whereas, if we could insert the bottom, insert the last whereas as, whereas the citizens in our community expect robust, transparent public processes expect robust, transparent public processes on resource management decisions. Yeah. Perfect. Are you comfortable with that, Mr. Handley? I got a thumbs up. I think you
No,
said-
I like those.
Okay. And then,
Centerpiece is one word.
yeah, in the first one, we'll take out the before Utah Lake. And then laughing at an Ohio State joke that Mr. Hogan made. Let's make it Utah Valley, capital Utah, capital Valley. In the first one, yeah, just to
Of
clarify
Utah
which
Valley.
valley we're talking about, yeah.
And not of the Utah Valley, of Utah Valley.
Yeah,
There we go.
of the Utah Valley. We need some respect.
The Ohio State.
Yeah, that's exactly what Travis said. The Ohio State. Do not include that. So I would move that we add this to the resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on the amendment to the motion?
Yeah.
We ready to vote on the amendment and then go back to the actual
Oh,
motion?
wait, can we make one tweak? I'm so sorry. On the second whereas, the economic vitality of the Wasatch Front. Because it's not just our valley. Thank you so much.
I think you need to move again on the amendment probably now.
Okay, I move that we amend the resolution as shown on a screen.
I'll second.
We got the second again from
Thanks.
Mr. Hanley. No problem. Thank you for those additions. Discussion on those additions before we vote on the amendment. Okay, let's go ahead and vote on the amendment. All in favor? Okay, the amendment passes unanimously. So now we're back to the motion as it's amended and shown here. Comments from the council on this resolution? I'll just start by saying I appreciate the efforts of both Mr. Hanley and yeah, Ms. Ellsworth. Thank you. It must be getting late. I apologize. Yeah, just appreciate their input on this, and it's something that I personally want, but I defer to their expertise and you know how good they are with words to help with something like this. So I really appreciate it, and I think it's a good thing. Everything that I've heard from our state legislators is supportive of some amendments and some changes, and I think this helps them understand what needs to happen, and I think they've been open to adjustment. So I appreciate that as well. Other comments from the council? Mr. Fillmore?
I want to share something anecdotally, if I might. It's over 30 years now that I had the opportunity to serve as chairman of the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce, Provo Chamber. And my sense then was that we had this fantastic resource in the center of our valley that was just so underutilized and really not well cared for. You know, you had the shallow lake issues, you had the turbidity, you had lousy fishing habitat that was getting worse by the year with the carp. You had, just a lot of problems with it. And we felt that we ought to commission a study. And we did a study that in retrospect was not terribly scientific. And we came away thinking, and again, that was a fairly superficial approach, but it was just, what can we do to rescue this asset? And we came away thinking that the solution to all the lake's problems was dredging. It just seemed like it would, if you double the depth of the lake, and then you'd have this fill material you could use it to, not so much islands, but around marinas and so on. You could help in so many different ways. But I acknowledge I'm a convert over the past several months to the science that's been laid before us, that in fact, the dredging itself, not to mention islands, would be really counterproductive to long-term health and viability of the lake. And so I do have a sense of stewardship that's kind of shifted gears. really think this resolution is the right way to go. I hope our state legislature will seriously address some of these issues and hope that this Utah Lake Authority that's being proponed will in fact do a good job for us. And my understanding is that the lake has always been shallow. It's always been turbid, but it was a lot healthier. And if we can find some ways to get all the various stakeholders with the lake together to find ways to enhance and beautify it, we will take a huge step forward. And it's long overdue.
Thank you. Other comments?
I just appreciate Mr. Fillmore's comments and that it's just the open-mindedness, and I hope that that's reflected in our community as well. There's just been a lot of negative publicity about the lake over decades, but when you get to know the lake and you have a lot more proximity to it and you learn about it, you understand that it's on a slow path, a patient path to recovery. And so I'm grateful for this council that they're willing to consider the voices of our community and to support this, and grateful that the previous council was willing to support a plan that would center around Provo River and Utah Lake so that we can not just coexist with those amenities, but create true assets, true amenities, and daylight what are really invaluable natural resources in our community that have long been tucked away and sometimes miscategorized. Thank you.
Mr. Hanley.
Yeah, I also want to thank Mr. Fillmore. He's a great mind and a great heart. I appreciate your thoughtfulness about this. I would just want to encourage going forward that, and I don't know if this is something that we can put our minds together when the time comes to celebrate I don't know what you do when you finish a river delta restoration. You don't christen it with a bottle of champagne, but when we're done with that, what's that? With Martinelli's, yeah. Could have a big kegs of Diet Coke. I would like to, work with the administration and figure out some way to celebrate the lake more as a city. I mean, I think one of the things that really bothers me about how this happened was that the story got oversold, right? That the lake was irreparable, that it was dangerous, that it was so polluted that, fish came out of there with 3 heads and all the jokes that we had associated with it. And its beauty and its value to us is, and historically the lake has been much more appreciated in the past than it is now by people who've lived here. It's the reason Latter-day Saint settlers survived. The settling of this valley was because of that lake and the fish that it provided. So, I'd like to find ways to have artists and photographers help us to celebrate its beauty and help orient the community a little bit more toward the marina and toward the new restored delta and make that really something that we celebrate and embrace. The new park in the southwest of Provo will be a place where not only you have incredible views of the mountains, but you're closer to the lake, and hopefully we can celebrate it more through festival and the arts, and that way these kinds of stories about it being beyond repair won't ever won't get the traction that it did in this case.
Maybe a local author could write about the lake.
Mr. Fillmore.
Maybe parenthetically, I'd add something else. The marina at the extension of Center Street is nothing to brag about. It's kind of pathetic in some ways. The city of Provo historically has asked the state if we could take it over, and that request has been rejected for governmental pride issues or whatever, I don't know. But if we could encourage our legislators to go beyond this resolution and to give consideration to some substantial funding to that marina, or to turn it over to us, that would be a big step forward. I mean, as it is, the entire shoreline needs beautification and enhancing all around the lake. But if we could start at the principal marina on the lake, that might be a good way to go.
Other comments from the council? Yeah, Mayor, welcome.
I apologize. I was detained, but I just wanted to add, and I know Brian Jones is going to be like, wait, what is she doing? But after listening on my way over and running upstairs and signing a document and listening, we've looked at it, and I would like to add my name to the resolution as well.
Great. Thank you. So I look for a motion to amend the resolution to be a joint resolution.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it.
Or Counselor.
Previous vice chair.
Did we already vote on the other resolution?
We didn't vote on the resolution. We voted on the amendment.
You did vote on the
We
amendment?
did vote on the amendment. We already passed the amendment. So now we need to pass another amendment.
Okay.
Comments on the amendment before we vote, just to change it to a joint. All in favor?
Oh, my comment is thank you, Mayor. Thanks for participating.
Other comments? Sorry to cut you off there. Okay, let's go ahead and vote on the amendment to change it to a joint resolution. It's getting edited. Okay.
Yeah, he just needs to put the right language in to make it a joint resolution.
I'm glad technology allowed you to hear the meeting. It's fun. Okay, looks like we're good to go then. So all in favor of the amendment? Any opposed? Okay, that was unanimous. So now the amended resolution as it so stands is up for a vote, but any further comments before we vote? I think we're ready.
Can I just see so be it further resolved, what's under that? Oh, yeah, there we go.
It's just that they sent
Okay. All right, that's it, thanks.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor? Okay, it passes unanimously. All right. Okay, so thank you. So if there is no objection, we'll now adjourn as the Provo Municipal Council meeting and reconvene as the Redevelopment Agency of Provo by unanimous consent. If there are any objections, let me know, but we're ready to go with the RDA.
My esteemed colleague, Bill Fillmore, will chair this board.
As the outgoing vice chair of the Redevelopment Agency, hereby open nominations for chairperson of the RDA. Recognize Mr. Handley.
I would like to nominate Shannon Ellsworth to be chair of the RDA.
Is there a second? Mr. Shipley. Are there any other nominations? If not, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of Shannon Ellsworth serving as chair of the Redevelopment Agency? Are there any opposed? Likewise, we'll open nominations for the position of vice chair of the Redevelopment Agency. Mr. Hoban.
I'd like to nominate Rachel Whipple for vice chair.
Is there a second? Mr. Handley. Are there any other nominations? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? We will now adjourn the RDA meeting.
Counselor Fillmore, same procedure as the last one. Now there needs to be a vote on the
Oh, that's right.
resolution, making it formal.
Excuse me. Okay. So we'll now call for a vote on the implied motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, all the Lord's children say amen. We adjourned.
This meeting was too easy for these newbies.
They got applause.
Man. Applause, which technically is not allowed.
town. Also, Richard